We want to thank everyone for joining us this week for the weekly Wednesday workshop. We have an awesome speaker today. She is a farmer and her husband is as well. And they have been doing this work many, many years. And so I definitely wanted to bring her on so she can share what her family have done over the years for as farming, how they, got into it. So like most of us, you're kind of born into it and agriculture, and sometimes you come back to it and sometimes you never leave it. And so definitely want her to share with us her backstory, as well as going into her presentation on how their farm business turned into a nonprofit to help people in their community in the South Alabama area. So at this time, Mrs. Barbara Shipman, I would definitely turn it over to you. And we thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story.
Thank you for that, Felicia. As Felicia has already said, I am Barbara Shipman. I am a fifth generation farmer, as well as my husband. And we have been farming on our current farm because we, like most children, when we got our education, we decided we wanted to leave home and roam around, see what the world was like. So we did, we worked and we retired and moved back to the farm after my mom, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law, as well as my dad passed away. So nobody else in the family wanted to take on controlling the farm or even getting it back in a workable condition. So my husband and I talked and my kids talked. They told me, said, Mom, you can go back to the farm, but we don't want no parts of it. I said, that's okay, because I want to go back and I want to do something with that land. So we moved back, we cleared a spot and put our home here. And we started out with the hogs and the cows, and we got the chickens and the goats. So we no longer have the hogs and cows, but we still have our chickens and our goats. So we enjoy those animals. And we decided that we would become the vegetable producers. And we like that better because I like growing my own food and eating my own food that I grow. So we did that, and we got on into deciding that this is not enough. We want to do something else. So I took a survey of how many farmers I had in my area and found out what they wanted to do. And so we talked to our mayor, and she gave us the farmers market space in Clio, and the mayor in Clayton, Alabama also gave us a farmers market location. And that's where our Senator Beasley, most people know him, Billy Beasley, he lives there in Clayton. So they supported us in opening the markets because there were none in our area. And we did that, and we included our youth, because we found out that our rural youth really didn't have anything to go do or no place to go because we had no park, except later on we found out we had Blue Springs Park, and it's well known for the hot springs there. But most of the kids did not swim, and we didn't have a public park or a swimming pool. So we decided to talk with our youth and find out what it is they really wanted to do. So most of them said, we want our own garden and we want to be able to go on field trips. So we worked with our youth after surveying them, and we included things that the youth like to do, because one thing I found out about working with youth, if it's something they like, they do well. So we have our youth farmers market, and we put a lot of emphasis on our youth farmers market because we use that farmers market to create jobs for them, the summer jobs as far as the fall and winter jobs for the youth, because there's no employment places in our area. We're just plain old rural area. And the stores, the grocery store is about 41 miles from where we live. So we looked at what we had available to us to use in our community, And we know that we had land, trees. So we decided to carve out a spot for our youth farmers market. And we have 3 locations for those youth farmers market. And what we do is we teach the youth how to plant their food, how to clean it. We teach them from A to Z in farming 101. As you will see, a lot of the things we've taught the youth in our community on my slideshow. So are there any questions for me at this point? If not, I'll move into our slideshow here, which is, like I said, we are the Cottage House Incorporation. We are currently a 501c organization, nonprofit. And what we do at the Cottage House, we have a little bit of history, not quite as long as the history is from being farmers, growing up as one. But the Cottage House was established in Ayrton, Alabama in 2000. Our mission of the Cottage House Incorporation is to inspire youth and help to promote sustainable agriculture solutions and economic development in rural southeastern Alabama through a multitude of different projects such as community programs, entrepreneurship, leadership, life skills, and more. The primary focus of the Cottage House is to educate youth as well as promote passion for business and agriculture skills for future generations, thereby increasing community gardens, creating jobs for youth, promotion of healthy lifestyles, educating residents. Oops, this is going so fast here. And, we want to talk about the importance of growing and eating local fresh food from the field to the table. And what we do here, we have classes. We bring our kids inside and we teach them about healthy food. We bring the medical experts in, the food and nutrition people to come in and educate our kids about how important it is to eat the right foods to eliminate some of the obese problems, because a lot of our children are obese and they shouldn't be at their age, but they are. And we find out that is because most of the time they eat a large amount of snack foods. Most of them are filled with sugar, and that's not good for me because a lot of the youth have sugar diabetes in my area. And we want to talk about our program work. Cottage House worked closely with the youth and youth leaders in Barber County, Coffee County, Dale, Dallas, Geneva, Henry, Lee, Macon County, Montgomery, as well as Wilcox County. The majority of our clients include veterans, youth, women, traditional farmers, as well as new and beginning farmers. We work with both the veteran women and the men. And I'll tell you a little bit about some of the work we've done with the veterans, and we're still supporting them in the big project they have that they're getting off the ground. And Dr. Jean Lear, I work with her. They are working with the veteran homeless women and homeless children. That is one of our big projects. And by the way, I'm a veteran myself, so my heart goes out to those veteran homeless women as well as their children, because we want to get them off the street. So they're working on the land. They got the land cleared. They're moving the offices out there, and we will eventually have what we call a tiny house community there. And I support that program totally because nobody wants to be on the street. Nobody wants to be hungry. Nobody wants to be out of a job. So we're looking forward to finishing that project so that we can create jobs for those veteran women who are homeless, they don't have jobs. A lot of them are drug addicts. So we're looking at working more closely with them to get them away from drugs and get their systems cleaned out so they will not have that desire to continue on drugs. So I'm very proud of that program, and hopefully you all will want to learn more about it. And once we get it up and running off the ground, we can set up a tour where you can come out and see just what we're doing with that project. Also, our work consists of the farmland, 1, 2, what you need to do if you really want to farm. You don't have to farm 20 or 30 acres. If you just want to garden, you just want to put a raised bed in or a flat bed in on your land, you can do that too. But a lot of our work includes teaching people how to construct, build those tunnel houses known as the hoop houses that are in the NRCS system. We also teach them how to repair. What we do with this portion of our program is that we work with our young men. We teach them a skill, because if they learn how to construct, put these houses up, then when the storm or the strong winds come around and destroy it, they also know how to repair. So thereby creating themselves a job that they can go out and do. We have high school students in Ayrton, Alabama, who we taught them how to do it. And they have now constructed 4 of these tunnel houses on their school campus in Ayrton, Alabama. And we want to teach more young men how to do it, because I tell them, if there are no factories coming to your area, well, then you need to learn something that you can make it a business of your own. So they learn how to build the tunnel houses. They learn how to repair the tunnel houses. They got a job. So when you go out there and apply with NRCS for one of these tunnel houses and you get it and it gets torn down because of the storm or strong winds, the plastic is blown away, then we can send our young men out there to help you out, because that's part of our job. Our mission is to create and generate jobs for the future generation. And if you have no business that are going to be coming to your area, they'll be moving back to the rural area, you have to think outside of the box and be very creative. And these jobs that we create for the young men and women as well, they have more than one skill. Yes, they know how to build. They know how to cut to the right size using the skill saw. They know how to use the drill to put all of the screws in the metal parts, as well as put the nails in if they're building a wooden tunnel house, because now we have a choice of a metal or a wooden tunnel house. So once they learn these skills and they continue to perfect their skills, when we send them out on a job, we don't have to worry about them half doing the job and people complaining about them doing the job, because we want them, when they leave us, they know, they feel comfortable with the trades that we have showed them how to perfect. So we are very proud of what we're doing with our young people. And we also include in our work that we do the outreach to recruit new farmers. We do quite a bit of outreach to recruit these new farmers. And we don't only just recruit them, but we stick with them. We teach them what they need to know. We make them feel comfortable with it. We also let them know that if they need us, we're available for them. We don't just recruit the farmer, but we walk them through the NRCS office to make sure they complete their paperwork, make sure they have everything they need in their folder. If there's something missing, we work with them. And I know Ms. Gwen Harris is here today. She should be on. She's one of the people who work with us with our new farmers who are interested in getting those loans when they go and apply for FSA. Well, she screens them very well because we want to make sure that they qualify or can qualify when they apply for the loans. A lot of people don't understand if you haven't managed your credit well, it's going to be difficult for you to get a loan from anybody. The banks are not going to allow you to get a loan if you have bad credit. So that's a very important piece of our recruitment, to make sure. It's not that we're meddling in your business, but we do have to ask you the question, well, how's your credit? If you're behind in paying your credit card bill, then we tell you, hey, don't go and apply for credit from nobody. Don't go and apply for borrowing money from nobody. You don't need a loan if you can't pay off what you already owe. So we just talk to them and tell them, and we help them. Because a lot of times people don't understand the value of credit. Once they get that credit card, I got a credit card now, I'm gonna go to Walmart, I'm gonna go to any place I wanna go, all the restaurants. I get a chance now to eat at all the restaurants, at least once a month. But then when the bill comes, they don't have money to pay the bill. So we teach them how to manage their bills. And that's a very important part of recruiting new recruits, because a lot of them that I meet, they do not have a good standing with their credit. But if they don't have, that doesn't mean that we can't work with you and help you get to where you need to be before you go out there and try to borrow money. You know you're not going to get it because your credit rating is not good enough for it. So we try our best to explain all this to them before we even take them any place to deal with credit. And also with our youth now, because you'll hear me talk about the youth quite a bit because we spend a lot of time with the youth. We not only teach them in the field, we bring them into the classroom and teach them. For example, when we're getting ready to plant our fields, we teach them about that field, letting them know the first thing they need to do is take a soil sample. So Ms. Shipman, what is a soil sample? Don't worry, baby, we're going to show you what it is. So we ordered all these boxes from the soil lab there in Auburn, and we give each one of the youth a soil box, and we go out there and show them how they need to take that sample of soil. And they do well. They will listen well. So once they get their soil sample back, then we're ready. We're ready to help you plant. If you want to plant in a raised beds, where you will see some of the work we've done and showing them how to build the raised beds, the flat raised beds. We also build those raised beds for wheelchair-bound students, because I work closely with Vivian B. Adams School in my area. Vivian B. Adams is a school for the handicapped. No matter what your handicap is, they have a student to represent that particular type of handicap. We installed 2 tunnel houses on their campus and several raised beds. We also put the wooden raised bed on their campus as well as the metal raised bed on their campus. And also, if you live near Alabama State and have some time to go and visit them, you will see several tunnel houses that we installed there, working with Mr. Currington. He's our trainer for that. And we put 2 on their campuses. And we have them all over the area for different farmers, schools, and youth land. So when we bring these kids into school, we talk about the soil sample. We talk about seed selection. We also talk about when the soil test return, we tell them there's some things that you have to do, because it doesn't stop there just getting the soil out of the ground and packing your box full, putting the label onto the soil lab in Auburn. When it comes back, it gives you a lot of information. You have to understand that information on that soil sample. It tells you how much lime you need in there. If you're going to plant only in your tunnel houses, then you have to provide the soil layer with the size of your tunnel house. Also, you're going to need to know how much fertilizer you put in it. So our kids can take their soil sample and they can tell me everything, because I will ask them the question. So before you do anything, you got to talk to me about the results of your soil sample. And when we teach them how to do things properly, they remember. Because if I forget something, they say, oh, let me help you, Miss Shipman. I know. And I just smile at them and go ahead. But it's a good idea if you're working with youth, don't just keep them in the field. Bring them into a classroom. Make them comfortable under the air condition. Let's talk about it. Ask them questions. Give them a chance to respond back to you so you can't be aware of what the knowledge level is. And don't think they don't hear you when you're talking, because they may be talking to their friends sitting next to them, but they remember because they know. And also, you know, reward them when they do the right things. Reward them for the work that they do. So our kids know that we will create jobs for them. So what we did also with our youth, most people don't do this, but we took them to the bank and let the bank ladies talk to them about saving accounts, checking accounts, investing in money markets, all the works. So the kids, when they got their first check and we took them to the bank, everybody wanted to open up them a savings account. So we were there for a while, but we had fun doing this. So always make what you do with the youth a fun thing. These are some pictures I'm going to share with you now. When we talked about building the flat raised beds, you can build them any size. And the flat beds are, we using those 2x6s, and we mostly make them 8 feet long, 4 to 5 feet wide. And we have soil, because I'm organic certified now. I can't just use any soil. I have to make sure I use the right soil for my raised beds and for my gardens and for my tunnel houses. And everybody can't be organic certified because it is expensive and they don't want to invest that large amount of money per year into becoming organic certified. But that's okay. Even if you just want to be what we call a generic farmer, that's good. You can do that too. But try to learn to build as much as you can, because it's going to be less costly for you if you do that. And teaching the youth around you, you know, that's good, because you'll be able to create jobs for them. Because the young man that's working here in this picture, well, we do youth exchanges. Well, he came from South Dakota and spent 3 weeks with us this summer. And his job was to build the raised beds. We had a list of people who wanted raised beds, and that's all they wanted. So we gave him the list and the address and phone number, and he got to work just going to different places, building these raised beds. Are there any questions from anybody at this point?
Ms. Shipman, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
So can you expound more on the youth exchange, the young man doing that? And second, was the material already at the site when the young man got there? Was the materials already there? And then the last question, I'm assuming your organization purchased that, or was it the farm?
The farm, number one, the materials were not already there. The young man who was on the youth exchange program with us, well, he came and we gave him the list, and he had his driver's license, and he was really good with MapQuest. So he found his way around where he needed to go. And he was able to take the people, like, because I have a lot of senior citizens that we work with. Well, he just took them to Lowe's, and Lowe's, you know, we have an open account with Lowe's so that we can get what we need from them. And we have some people who are able to pay for the supplies and some people who are not able to pay for those supplies. So we help where we can, and we work it that way, and it works well for us.
I like that. Now, can you explain more about the youth exchange, how your organization got involved in that?
Okay, the way we got involved in the youth exchange program is that I did an outreach meeting at the My Child's Indian Reservation. And while I was there, it was a relatively large meeting. I didn't know very many people except the people that I dealt directly with that invited me to come and speak there and show my PowerPoint. I was asked by several Indian chiefs, that I work with them to do the youth exchange, and I explained what it was all about, and they wanted to become involved. And it was our first experience having the ability to work with the Indian tribes closer. And what we did, we talked about it. We told them how many students that we could do. And what happened is this year we were looking at busloads of kids coming down for the youth exchange, but because of the coronavirus, we were not able to do it. Hopefully we can do it next year. So what we did, we worked with them sending at least 6 people, because we could, operate the social distance better with just 6 people working, because what I was able to do was send them in different directions, So that's how I got involved with that. And I really love it. I enjoy it. And we just do what we know how to do best. That's all. It is a very good program. It gives our youth the opportunity to interact with other people who speak many, many different languages. And in the case with our youth, they were not accustomed to working very closely with Caucasians, Indians, or otherwise. But, it worked well for us.
Great.
And
That's
it's a very good
great.
program.
Yes, ma'am. Are there any other questions? You can open your mic, just unmute yourself, and you can come on and ask a question. And then we'll get back to the presentation, but you definitely can jump on and ask or put it in the chat.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, Ms. Shipman. Now, I have a question.
Sure.
I was jealous when I saw that soil in the raised bed. Where do you get good organic soil?
Well, I have a company that's located in Anderson, Alabama. They make it up and they sell it by the dump truckload. And if you're interested, I can get you connected with them.
Thank you. I'd like that.
You're welcome.
It did look very, very nice. I agree, Miss Judy. It looked very nice on that picture. So thank you so much for sharing that, Miss Shipman. Anyone else? Do you have a question?
Okay. If not, I will continue on with my PowerPoint. And that you can ask me questions anytime. I like that because that gives me a chance to, talk about the pictures or whatever's in front of me and as I move along. But here is a picture of where we teach our youth how to build sub-irrigation systems. We have a company that I work with that make the kits up for me, and the right size that we need. And here, the kids have put together their drip system. They dug the hole and they're putting it in the ground. And when we finish putting all the pieces together, and they're actually glued with what we call the rain or shine glue, and they have to put all the pieces together. So it looks like what you see here, with the exception, they're not finished with it because the end result is that we will have the drip lines going down the rows inside of the tunnel house or on the outside. In this case, it is done on the inside. And the kids all get the opportunity to glue their piece together. And what you're looking at is a PVC pipe that's been cut in several pieces and been put together, glued together with that rain or shine glue. And also the little black, if you look at the black parts there that has the little green turn knob on top, that is the on and off water knob to get the water flowing inside of the black pipes when we connect them. But what we do, we start them off teaching them how to put all the pieces together to end up with a drip line looking like this, and dig the hole and put it down. That's just the second step of it. Okay, because when you get to this step here, you've already glued all of your short pieces. You put your elbows, the white elbow knobs on it, as you can see. You've also glued in your on and off turn knobs. So the only thing you need to do at this point when they're finished is to put it in the ground, cover it over, and then the soil is actually tilled and the rows are made, the seeds are put down, and depending on what they are planting, the seeds are covered. Because we found out that if we're planting turnip greens, for example, we don't cover the turnip seeds over with dirt. We put them, we dig the rows, we put the seeds in, and we put the fertilizer on top of it, and we water it. And within 3 days, the seeds have already germinated and they begin to grow. So that's the reason for that. And it works well for us when we do it that way. Now you see that each child has glued their piece onto the drip line for the sub irrigation, and we have them hold it up so we'll know what side they're going to put down. Because here they have it upside down and they would not put this in the ground like this because they'll have to turn it up so that it'll look like an L when they turn it up, and then sit it down in the ground and cover it over. And the kids love doing this because they really get a lot of enjoyment. And I can tell you, these kids here are 6 years old up to 18. These are the younger ones because we tried to group them by the age. They don't want to work with the older kids because they want to do it themselves. And the older kids would jump in and say, let me do it, let me show you more. So we give them the opportunity to really get that hands-on feel, and they feel comfortable, and they do remember, they don't forget what you teach them. Here they put it down in the ground, and they're holding it to make sure that the water's drip. If you look over to your right, if you're sitting maybe over to the right of your screen, you see that Mr. Carrington is there. He's the guy that's wearing the glasses. We put it down and we check it. We have to check it to make sure the water's on, because over here, if you can see where I'm pointing with my ink pen here, that is the water line, the live water line, and it's been connected here. It has 2 turn-on knobs. He's turning it on, and there's a turn-on knob here, and right here where you see the L coming out, it connects into this drip line. And so we have to check it and make sure all of the turn on and all knobs are working. So once Mr. Carrington turns the water on, the youth now can turn his water spigot on, and he can see that is coming out. And we have to check each one of these to make sure that they're working before we cover them over with soil. As I stated earlier, our work includes farming training 101 for the new farmers who do not know anything about farming. We start them out in first grade, so to speak. We also teach our youth and our farmers about the importance of farm safety on and off of the farm. It is very important because if you are selling produce, you don't want any rejects, as we call it. You do not want anybody getting sick from the food that you grow. So it's very important that you handle the food properly. We teach them when we are harvesting the produce that everybody wash their hands and they wear gloves, because we don't want to contaminate anybody's food. Want to handle it properly, make sure they're clean when they're doing it, and make sure that what we're getting out of the field is clean. For example, if we're harvesting and anybody, you drop something on the ground, leave it there. Just keep moving. It stays there until we finish harvesting. We don't pick it up and include it in the clean bunch of produce that we are harvesting, whether it be collard greens, turnip greens, peas, butter beans, or okra, eggplant, doesn't matter. We have to be aware of food safety. It's very important. We can't talk about that enough, because you don't want to contaminate nobody's food. We also have the automated farm record keeping. A lot of people don't realize how important it is to keep records. When I talk about record keeping, the record keeping began when you take your soil test. When you take your soil test, you have to capture that, the date that you receive your soil test back, and the information you capture from that is how much fertilizer, how much lime you put down. Also, in the record keeping, for the tunnel houses, as well as if you are planting in the fields, we have made up charts to show what you planted in the field, how much you planted in the field, how many seeds you put in that row. And we also have tags for our rows. And what we use as tags, we use something like this. Can you see this? It's on the screen. We use this to tag or mark our rows, because we have to keep up with the number of plants we put in each row. We also have to keep up with the seeds, the year of the seed. All that information goes in your record. And it's so important to maintain records. If you are farming and you have a disaster, or you lose your crop and you apply for NAP insurance, they're going to want to see the record. I don't know if you know it or not, they have become very detailed with what they want in those records. So my advice to you, if you're farming, make sure you maintain your planting records. In that planting record, you should have a place for your harvesting records. You should also have a place for the spacing, because no matter what seeds you're planting, whether they are seed or whether they are transplants, you have what we call planting specification, telling you how far top to bottom you space these out. And in your rows, what is the distance between your rows? See, most people don't know, for example, if you're planting squash, some squash you can plant 5 feet apart. Some squash you plant depending on what type they are, requires more space than that. And that's what they look for in your records, your planting records, when you apply for the NAP insurance. Did you follow the guidelines? I know a lot of people have planted their crops and didn't follow the guidelines for planting. There is a planting guideline for every seed. And when you apply for that NAP insurance, they're going to look at that. And it's not going to be the people sitting in your FSA office doing it, because they have contract people that come out and inspect your crops that have been destroyed by whatever, water, rain, wind, whatever. And the first thing they're gonna want to see, let me see your planting records. When did you plant? What you planted? Did you space them out correctly? Did you row inch correctly, meaning from top to bottom? Well, did you put it 12 inches apart, 18 inches apart, 24 inches apart, or 36 inches apart? Because every seed has a planting specification. And I stress on that, if you're farming and not maintaining your records on planting, on what seeds you planted, how you planted, when you planted, you may not get any insurance. It's just that important. So what we found out that would help us is when we designed our automated farming record keeping system and automated planting guide, it helped us, especially for people who are organic certified. You know your records are going to be screened because when they come in, they're looking for stuff. Now, if you're GAP certified, Good Agriculture certified, the same thing. And they are state inspectors. They are coming in and looking for stuff that's wrong. And it also lets them know how much you know about what you're doing as well. Again, we do the youth field trips. We've taken our youth to Washington, D.C. to tour it. We've taken them to the riverboat ride in Montgomery, Alabama. We've had classes everywhere we go. If we're on the bus, we have classes en route up and en route back home. We do the same thing. When we go on locally, wherever we go locally, we also have classes as well. And the kids are not so bored because we have class and we take our goodie bag and we give away very nice gifts for those who know the answer to the question. So that generates a little competition between all the students and they love it. We also took our youth to George Washington Carver Day in Dothan, Alabama, and the National Peanut Festival in Dothan. They enjoyed those and they saw a lot of things that they had at the Peanut Festival that they had never seen before. They saw all of the equipment. Some kids had never seen the huge equipment that they use. If you have tons of acres and you're out there, one tractor will not do the job when it may take 10 or 15 tractors to ply up those fields. They're so large. We also have a youth exchange with the students in Chicago. We had a learning journey at Miss Josie Gadabosi in Tuskegee, Alabama. We brought kids as far away that from Chicago, and they spent 3 days with the Alabama youth. And we took the youth to Chicago, and they enjoyed it. And we took the parents with us as well, and they have a ball when we go. That concludes my PowerPoint. So are there any more questions from anyone?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Ms. Barbara. We do have questions in the chat. First question is, let me go back up and make sure. Yes. So our first question is the Cottage House Incorporated listed as a food cooperative?
No, we are not listed as a food cooperative. We are part of cooperatives, so we keep that separate. It is a 501c3. It's incorporated as a 501c3.
And when you said separated, I want to make sure everyone understand you're talking about you are part of a farmer cooperative, but that is separate from your 501c3. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And our attorney, when we were being structured, cautioned us about that and recommended that would be the best way to go. And we took his advice and we're glad we did. So we don't want to have the co-op being a part of the 501c3.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So next question is, how much capital did Cottage House Incorporated begin with?
Oh, well, I can tell you the capital that we began with was about 15,000 is all we had, and that came through from bake sales, cake sales, pie sales, and selling jelly and cakes and donations.
Good. The reason they were interested in knowing because they want to create a food co-op in their community, and they, of course they're still at the beginning stages of researching it, and so really wanted to get, you know, like that financial beginning. So that's why they were asking the question. And then also I put in here, Mrs. Barbara kept mentioning NAP, so I wanted to make sure that we define that for you. Or at least give you the name of the acronym. So it's Non-Insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program. And so it's NAP, N-A-P, and P as in Paul, and it's at the Farm Service Agency.
Right.
So if you have any type of disaster, you know, in the future, please take into consideration of utilizing the NAP program. But as Ms. Shipman said, you have to have good record keeping. You cannot go up there just saying you have lost animals, you have lost crop, and don't have anything to show for it. So please, please make sure you keep good records. And as business owners, you should. So please, if you haven't, get started. If you're a new and beginning farmer, start like Ms. Shipman say, day one. When you get your soil test, you have to keep good records. And also, let me see, the other thing I wanted to state, I just lost my thought. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Thank you, Joy, for putting that link in where people can go to the NAP program online. So the link is in the chat. If you would like to click on that, you could go straight to it. Thank you so much. And I know that we talked a lot about youth cooperating. So, and our title today was Farming Cooperatively, but Ms. Shipman, I definitely want you to talk on the farmer cooperative, because like I said, you all been farming for many years. You are certified organic. And I want, you know, you to speak on briefly on the cooperative, the farmer cooperative.
Okay, we are a member of the Tuskegee University Farmers Cooperative in Tuskegee, and for us, it was a very good experience because the Farmers Co-op was able to get a contract with Walmart, so we grew several varieties of vegetables to support our co-op there in Tuskegee. So I'm the secretary for that cooperative, and it's still in existence. And it's very good because with the co-op, you are able to, as for example, with Tuskegee, they were able to get the Walmart contract for us, and some of the other cooperatives where we're growing in large quantities. You know, and so that's good because it gave us, the Cottage House and what we do on our farm, the opportunity to be able to sell produce that was grown on our farm that is organic certified to Walmart. And, you know, the other thing I want to say, like my farm itself, we are an LLC. And so, you know, it is a separate business away from the Cottage House as well. So for us, it's good to keep those entities separate because you don't want to run into a problem where something happens and you never know. We try hard. We don't want anything negative to happen. But say, for example, if something should happen and everybody comes after me and sue my farm. Well, if I've got everything in one bucket, my farm will be gone, my house will be gone, my land will be gone, and the Cottage House will be gone. So it's a good thing to be able to set your entities up separately. So if something does happen, you don't lose everything you have. You
Yeah,
don't want to lose anything. You work hard not to lose anything. But God forbid if something happens and everything is in one pot together under one umbrella, you know, everything is gone. Because when people come after you, they're not coming after one thing, they're coming after everything they see that you have.
exactly. Exactly. Thank you for sharing that because that's just so important because we have many farmers in our region, and our region consists of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, and Florida. So our southeast region, for as our Gulf States office and the farmers we work with, we have so many farmers that know how to farm, know how to sell, they're making money, but they do not have it set up as a business. So I'm so glad that Ms. Shipman mentioned that because we want everyone to have their farm operation set up as a business. So just like she said, you have a little protection. It's not ironclad, but you have protection from your personal asset, your home, your land. You don't want that skewed into your business because, like she said, if you get sued, then you could possibly lose all. So we want all parties, even our specialists, to share that with your constituents and your clients to let them know, you know, talk to an attorney about setting up their business, setting up their farm as a business. We want to do that and let a professional, you know, share with you how to do that. So if it may be attorney, if it's someone in your local area that is a business strategist, anyone that's a professional that can lead and guide you, you still may need the attorney, but I do understand we have farmers that may not have the financial resources to go straight to the attorney. So, and then the other thing, what are we talking about today? Cooperative. Talk to another farmer. So if it, like Ms. Shipman just said, she's an LLC. So any of our Alabama farmers that are online, they can go to her and ask, you know, why did you become an LLC? What was the reason? Getting into, she cannot set you up as an LLC, but at least she can show you on paper why she did it, why it's protecting her and making sure that everything is separate. The other thing that she didn't mention that she alluded to is keeping the money separate as well.
That's
Keeping your
right.
money separate. You want your business is functioning. See, they're farming, they're having to buy seeds and various things, but then they're also making money from their farm.
Mhm.
That money cannot be placed into that cottage house money. You cannot do that. And so
Yeah, I was
that
going to,
go ahead, Ms.
excuse me for interrupting you, Felicia, but I was going to talk about that in a few minutes. I wanted to talk about that to the point of even to your bank accounts. You know, each entity should stand on its own, should operate on its own. It should have its own checking and savings account. Okay. So, for example, if you were to apply for grants and you have everything separated, then you have to have separate accounts for the grant money. Because see, when we applied for a grant and we received that grant, I had to open up a separate account just for that grant to track that only the grant money. I don't even mix it with my checking, my savings for the cottage house. Same thing for the farm. It has to stand on its own. It has its own account. So you don't mix them. And most people don't know, well, I can borrow from here and borrow from there, but you don't do that. If you learn that you operate each entity separately, then you won't get into trouble. And you won't end up spending money from the other entity when you should not do that. And you think you have enough money, you go into the account and find out, oops, I've spent $5,000 over here on the farm. So it's not over here in the other account. But when you learn how to structure your business properly, and you can always go to your small business association, that's their job to help you at no cost, help you to structure it correctly. And there's no charge for them doing that, because I did use the Small Business Association when I set up the cottage house as well as my farm. It saved me those legal fees.
Yes. Great. Also, I wanted to ask you, Ms. Shipman, you spoke of Tuskegee being over the farmer cooperative. Can you share? It sounds like that may be the way to go. I know most farm cooperatives are set up within a community, and it's usually either a family or individual over that cooperative. But can you share with us how this is, like, how did Tuskegee, or possibly how does that look when a university, one of our HBCUs is over your farm cooperative?
Well, the thing about it is they are not over it. They structured us. So we have a president, a secretary, a treasurer. You see, well, they just help structure it. They just help to make things happen. They opened that door for us. We operate it ourselves. That's what your board does. We have a board that operates the business part.
Okay.
They never do that. They just help you get structured.
Got you. Okay. Thank you for clarifying, because I thought I misunderstood. I'm thinking they were over the particular cooperative. So I appreciate you explaining that. Thank you so much. But one of the things I know that I just hear you always talk about, and then I have witnessed myself, the farmers in your area cooperate. They work together, and we're not, no one is going to always agree. So it may be differences, but they never get to this point where they just, like, just want to tear down the cooperative. It's like, we may be in difference, but let me go cool down and come back and so forth. Can you share the ups and downs and how you all work through, disagreements, because that's one of the biggest issues within our communities. We have cooperatives, but they don't always work out for the benefit of all.
Yeah. Well, the thing about us is that the majority of the members they're either farmers, they've been selling for a while, or they're on the business, they're business people. They have a restaurant, a store, or some type of business. But we talk about it. And I believe, and this is me, and it's worked for me. I believe that when you are open and honest and straight across the board with a person, they respect you for that. And the best thing to do is just not tell them a lie. If you don't know something, tell them you don't know. Give me time to do some research and let me come back to you next month and have this ready to discuss with everybody next month, because we know that we're working together. We're not going to agree on everything. And there are some things we hadn't agreed on, but we did come to the table 2 meetings or 3 meetings later, and we talked about it, discussed it, and I have more information for them, because people want you to be straight up with them, straight up. And when you're straight with people, you don't have that kind of a problem. Because what you try to do is nip it in the bud, as I call it, before it escalates.
Yes.
And sometimes you can quieten the conversation just by telling me, give me a couple more days, let me find out some more and get back to you. And you can quieten the conversation or argument right there.
Gotcha.
Because what I'm telling you is, hey, I'm really telling you, I don't know what to tell you right now. Give me a chance to do some research and to see what I can find out, and let me get back to you with the correct information. I don't want to tell you wrong, but I much rather ask you to, hey, let me have some more time and do my research, and I'll get back with you. And then I can answer your questions. Because I don't know it all. I have to do research. One thing we have done that has really helped us a lot, we retain an attorney. If there's something legal that we need to deal with, I have an attorney on board to handle that for me. That's his job. When it comes down to filing the income taxes for my business, I have a certified accountant. Any tax problems, we all can go to that person and get our questions answered.
Great.
but I
Wow.
try to maintain everything in a business manner so that when things come up, I can pull out this, I can pull out that. And I'm an old record paper water because most all your business stuff is on paper. Even though I put it on a jump drive, they want to see, if I go to court, they don't want to see my jump drive. They want to see that piece of paper.
Yes, ma'am.
So I make sure that I have it, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Wow. Now that's totally different, Miss Shipman, when you say you have these professionals for the cooperative. See, that's very, very new to my thought process, because most of the cooperatives, they don't, it's either a few members have these professionals, but they don't share them, or don't offer it to everyone. And to me, that's what a cooperative is. If you have the financial resources as a cooperative, each individual can retain this professional, not on one person. And
Right.
so you really could work together.
That's right. And I'll give you a case in point in that when we were looking for attorneys, I didn't just look for attorney by myself. We had a meeting. I brought the Legal Shield group in, okay?
Mhm.
And what Legal Shield allowed us to do, instead of my buying a Legal Shield space of lawyer to be available for me to use by myself, I went for the whole group. It was cheaper that way.
Mhm.
So that's how we do things because, for example, when we buy fertilizer, when I order a truckload of fertilizer and you're a part of it, I got yours on that truck too. I don't leave you out. See, we have to look out for each other because all of us don't know it all. We know some, we know in part. I have to rely on other people to have more knowledge than me many times. And that makes my job easier. But when I do things, I'm not going to do it for one. I'm not going to do it, for example, with the children, when we decided we would give them stipends. My children work, and they're getting ready because they know that when we have our awards section, they get their certificates, and each one of them, they work. Even though they worked and received a paycheck, they are getting what we call a bonus. Each one of them is going to get $500 because these kids work. We reward them for the good things that they do. So I didn't pick out your child and left Sally's child. I looked at for all of the kids. What I do for one, I should do it for all.
Mhm.
And when you have that kind of attitude, when you're looking out for the whole body, not the half or the fourth or the third body, you want to do it for the whole body. You don't be discriminative in any manner because they're looking at you. Let's see what she's gonna do. How's she gonna do it? But when they see you looking out for the whole group, they look at you different. They work with you differently. Oh, I thought it was gonna be this way. I thought it was gonna be that way. Well, you got in here and you see now it's not like that.
Yes.
And then will tell you, and it quiets a whole lot of negativism that you might hear people say. Only thing they can say is, I do my best to help you. If I can't help you, I come back to you and tell you, I'm sorry, I can't do nothing to help you this time. And here are the reasons why. What can you say? I try my best for you.
Yes, ma'am. But that is farming cooperatively, and that's why I wanted you on because I've been knowing you for years, and I know that your farmers, the people in your area and the young people love you so much, Ms. Shipman, because you are straight with them. You have never ever pulled a wool over people's eyes, and you have helped. And I'm way here in Mississippi, and you have helped us, and so it's so many people you have touched, but you do it sincerely. And that's why people love you and want you to always help them learn how to farm and how to get better and level up and do more than they can in their farming operation. So that's why you were on today, because we need more farmer cooperatives that work like this. We have many in our country that are doing just what you're doing, straight and narrow, no hiding anything, not keeping things from their members. And guess what? They are successful too. Those farmers are making money. Yes, the farmers are making money. the children understand that they can start businesses because what? They're looking at their parents and grandparents and their neighbors working together.
That's what it's all about. And you can do more when you're working together.
Yes,
When you
ma'am.
work together, you can do more.
And I know one thing that you mentioned, and because I work with young people as well, one of the things I noticed that you always have done, and you mentioned it on this call, is you always solicit the children. You don't take over and do it for them.
No, it's about, I want you to learn. You come here, you have skills. God gave everybody 2 eyes, two holes in the nose, 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 of everything. If you got a pair, you can do it. You got the same thing everybody else got. You just got to use what God gave you to use.
But you also look at each individual child as that, like they can do, versus judging them. We have so many adults that start judging the children before they open their mouth. And it's like, no,
you don't do that. You encourage them to bring out the best from within themselves. And they like that because, well, you know, there are a lot of kids that I work with that comes from family where parents are drug addicts. No, we don't even talk about that. We want you to do your best while you're here. And we stick with you. We have situations things that come up, but when you look at that child, you don't want to judge that child because you don't know what that child will be 5 years or 10 years down the road.
Exactly.
You don't know. You don't know what God's plan is for that child. So you encourage them. It's about encouragement, the growth and development. And we use this because I'm gonna tell you, some of our kids, they come from some pretty tough environments. But when that child come here, I want that child to know you're not there. This is different. We want you to be you. This is a place where you can be you and be all that you can be of you. And you encourage and say some encouraging things to them. They don't hear that at home. Some of these kids get cursed up one side and down the other. That's all they know.
Yes. Yeah. And sad to say, a lot of the students get it in school as well. They have that just the low expectation of some students. And so that's what I've always loved about you, because that's what children want. They just want to be noticed and they want to be uplifted, and you have always done that for them. And that's why they always have your back, and you're teaching. That's what I love about your programs. You're teaching them a skill set. We're not displacing school. We're not saying we don't want to have school, but for some children in America, you have to teach skills as well. All children are not college material. They won't make it in college. And so, but we don't want just to send them after they graduate from high school, just send them somewhere, or they just out in the world. We still want them to be productive citizens. So learning a skill set, and I love what you said about building the high tunnels. I had a client ask, who does that? What are the companies that build high tunnels? And I had to we got one out of state, we got one in state. Okay, so why couldn't we go to students, young people, and build those high tunnels? So that's just a tremendous thing that you're doing, and just we commend you so much, Ms. Shipman, and we thank you so much. We're over our time, but we're grateful
That's okay.
that everyone stayed on us. Do you have a few more minutes to try to capture these questions, Ms. Shipman?
Yes, I just dedicated this time for this, so let's at least get there as much as I can.
People have to hop off, that's fine. Again, this is being recorded, so you can come on at a later time to listen. But we had, and I think we may have touched on it. So it was asked if you could explain how the cooperative work. You did talk about that, and then the designated staff person running a cooperative. So I kind of asked that question because I still thought Tuskegee was running it. So you explained, no, they just structured you, but the farmers are still leading it. That's correct?
That's right. They're still leading it, and Mr. John Brown from Selma, Alabama is the president.
Okay, great. And then you spoke on the interpersonal part. That was their third part question about how do you handle interpersonal parts within the cooperative. You said being straight with people and honest.
That's it. If you can be that way, I believe that's the key to life, because when you start lying to people, they lose confidence in you and don't want to be around you. And you don't want to push people away with that type of personality.
Yes. And then we had a question, can you talk a little bit more about record keeping, especially with you being organic certified? And then also just as a farmer, you have a lot of records to keep just being organic certified farmer. So can you speak more on record keeping, and possibly could you list what are the most important records? Like what do you would kind of maybe the first 5 or first 6 or 7 particular records that are best for farmers to keep?
Okay. Well, first of all, I like to say, when we'll start with things such as purchasing. If you're purchasing, no matter what it is for your farm, you want to make sure you keep all of those receipts separately, okay? And I recommend that you get one of those 3-ring binders or 4-ring binders, which are the big thick ones, and those laminated sheets to put them in. You keep all of your receipts. Well, I don't care what you purchase: fertilizer, lime. If you're purchasing fence to repair your fence, fence posts, nails, screws. If you have to go out there and buy a drill to drill, it's quicker to do the job if you got screws and a drill, rechargeable drill. If you have to buy it, if you got to cut down trees and got to go out there and invest in buying a saw, electric saw to cut your trees down, that's all farm user, because you're going to use that to cut down these trees. Especially if you have a storm, you got to move them. You're moving them by yourself, you got to have an electric saw to get the job done. Fence posts, whether they metal or wood, just whatever it is you're purchasing to maintain that farm. Seeds. You might have to repair your drip irrigation system. You got to buy your drip tape. There's a lot of money being spent on buying those drip tapes, items that you need, because we buy by the big roll. You got to buy your blue lay flat. You got to buy your water drip lay flat, which is your black drip irrigated tubes with the holes pre-punched in it. You buying that. So you want to keep up with all of that. Okay. And then, the wear and tear of your vehicle, your truck breakdown, you got to buy 5 tires because you ran over something in the road and it just tore up all your tires. That's a farm, because you're on your way to pick up your supplies from Lowe's for your farm. And any transplants, if you into buying the transplants instead of starting your own, whatever it takes for you to do that, keep a record of it. So you'll know at the end of the year, when you get ready to file taxes, how much it costs you to operate that farm. And if you are harvesting and selling, you run in the farmer's market, you got to buy all of your baskets, all of your cups to hold your different products that you're selling. Whatever it takes, tablecloth, you may have to buy several folding tables. Whatever it is you need to operate that farmer's market, you should keep accountability of it by having all your receipts. And then maybe twice a month, you sit down and do all of your paperwork for January. Don't wait till the last month to do it. Time to file your taxes, and there you are. You got everything strode everywhere, and you don't know what is what. Organize it so you can get your hands on it. Because I can tell you, if you buy a saw and it tears up, they want to see the receipt where you purchased it from Lowe's. So you can get your hands on it right quick and take it up there and say, hey, it don't work no more. I need another one. Because everything you buy, if you pay attention, you get a warranty. Whether it's a 6-month warranty, a year, 1-year warranty, a 2-year warranty. If you have to buy a lawnmower, if you have to buy tractor parts, if you own a tractor and have to buy tractor parts, keep up with your tractor parts. Because the only way you can till your fields or bush hog your hay that you grow, you gotta have equipment, attachments, all that stuff. Just keep it in one book. You just got to buy your notebook for the farm. And then keep it separate from your household stuff, so you can get your hands on it real quick. That's the main thing. Most people don't even know where the records are when they buy stuff because they don't keep it organized. But if you do that, it's much easier for you. If you got to take something back because it tore up on you, or if you got to file your taxes and the tax preparer asks you, well, what are your receipts? You don't have no idea. Or you come in there with 6 receipts and you've been operating a farm all year. You buy your seeds. You may have to buy some spray for insects. It could be just small as that. And you still have to pay for it. So you need a receipt to show where you paid for it. No matter what it is, no matter what that cost is for you to operate that farm, you need to make sure you maintain those receipts. And I can't talk about it enough. And then that's part of your receipt records. And then you maintain the records for when you plant stuff. When you plant, most people that farm that I know, the old timers always plant on Good Friday. Whatever day Good Friday fall on and you plant, you don't plant nothing but corn. You need to document it on your calendar or something. If you ain't got time to do it right then, get you one of those big desk calendars that you can write on. You plant the yellow corn on the 18th or the 15th or the 14th, okay? Then it ought to give you time enough to know what your germination rate. So you say, well, I need some corn from you. I need about 15 bags of corn, 50-pound bags of corn. When you plant it, when it's going to be ready. You can tell your buyer when your crop is going to be ready if you keep a track of it. And that's what happens with maintaining records. Know when you're planting. You have some idea when you're going to harvest it.
Yes. I appreciate that because you listed off planting records, harvest records, your sale records, and
Yes, it's
your farm records. So it's like, even though we have one entity, you have all of these different records under that business that you have to maintain. And you got to be able to put your hands on it. One of the things I wanted to share, some people may want to do it computerized. Some people may want to handwritten, so whatever you choose, we're not telling you how to do it. Just do it. We need all our farmers to keep records. It saves a lot of time, but it helps with your farm planning. When you're moving into the following year, you could go back and look and see, did that germinate? What Ms. Shipman was talking about, did the corn germinate? Did that particular variety do as you expected? So then when you plan for the following year, you're like, nah, I'm not going to buy that particular variety this year. So when you keep farm records, it helps you keep things flowing, making your life easier because you always can look back on it. Second thing I wanted to add, please, if you please scan your receipts. What I'm noticing, the ink is disappearing on a lot of our receipts. And so please scan your receipts. Not to say to throw them away, but scan them. So if it's 6-8 months in and your tax preparer needs to see it, it's something actually there. So we can't take blank receipts in because it had really changed, Ms. Shipman, over the years. The ink used to last, but now, in a few hours, sometimes look like it's gone. If you rub it and our oils from our hands and so forth, the receipt gone. And so we want to make sure we're scanning our receipts. And Ms. Shipman said every single thing, no matter how small. If you use financial resources to purchase it, keep that receipt, scan it, and place it where it needs to be placed. If it's the harvest stuff, if it's the, all around farm things. One of the things I learned in a class many, many years ago, I was clumping all our farm stuff together, my record keeping, just everything, all the animals, everything I was doing, just one farm book, and that was the record keeping. But then that gentleman said, okay, what if the chickens is not cash flowing? What if a particular animal that you're raising is not making money and it's in the red every year? You will not know that if you're clumping it together. And that was my light bulb moment. And now every single thing is separated. So I'll know this is what's being spent for the poultry, this is what's being spent for the sheep. And then at the end of the year, and like Ms. Shipman said, throughout the month, you need to be going in and adding those receipts in. And so just making sure that you're keeping up with your records is so important, because if you want to go get a loan,
you're going to have to show a profit or loss on the farm.
Yes. So we are running businesses. It's not hobby. You know, we're running businesses regardless if it's a farm, if you're doing a farm cooperative in your area, if it's an urban farm, if it's a children farm or a children youth skill farm or agriculture program. It doesn't matter, because money has to get spent no matter what to set these businesses up. So even when you set your business up as an LLC, that's money. So you want to make sure that yes, ma'am, you're recording all of this. So Miss, let me do these rest of these and then we'll get out. We're holding everybody a little bit longer, but we thank you so much. So one person, and I think they just left, but they share with us Farm Commons, farmcommons.org. It is a nonprofit that has lots of legal resources for farmers. They have a podcast, and then they offer legal help hotline. So I want people to know that Farm Commons with an S.org. And then, okay, someone asked about Georgia Organics. If they were farming in Georgia, could they reach out to Georgia Organics for free organic certification coaching and record keeping assistance? And so they left their email address. I know that's not directed towards you, Ms. Shipman, that's a question for me. And so I'll definitely follow up with this client. Also, we have, they were asking, how are people keeping records? So do people want to come on, unmute yourself and share how you are keeping your records? We had a participant ask that question.
That would be good if they want to share that information with us, because that's what we learn from each other.
Yes. Anyone want to come on, just share how you're keeping your records?
I use QuickBooks, but I don't love it.
But now, Ms. Judy, does it help, like at your tax time? Aren't you able to just pull everything down and be able to either email that tax preparer?
You know, Felicia, if it's in there properly, it's a great asset. But if it's not in there properly, it really doesn't do you much good. It takes a minute to learn it, and maybe it needs to be more detailed. I've just got a whole section for high tunnel, but after thinking about all the categories of expense, I think I probably need to break it down more. So I think I'm going to use the binder, like Ms. Shipman suggested.
Yeah, because one thing about the binders I would like to share with you, I get these separated by the month, the 12 months dividers. And so I make sure I'm very careful to file everything under each month appropriately. So then I know how much money came in for January, money went out for January. And, I just put it on my computer. And my computer, if you use Excel, you can set it up so it can automatically add and subtract for you. And you can, if you know the formulas, you can even set it up to divide for you.
Got you. And I was going to ask you, Miss Judy, are you doing online and offline recording? Okay, good.
With youth, this is just my personal opinion.
Wait, we didn't hear you at first, Miss Judy. Can you repeat?
For youth, working with youth, I think it's a good exercise to have them do it in a booklet form. Can always learn some software later or find some digital platform, but I think it really sinks in if they're having to write down things. So especially
Yes.
working, I think that's helpful.
And then we also have to keep in mind they're technologically savvy. A lot of
They're
them.
very smart. My kids are very smart with the computer.
Yes.
And
So,
I
Miss
like
Judy,
to
you may have
push it to the limit.
they may help you with your woes of the QuickBooks. So you may have some students that could really just come in there and shape it up, because they really, yes, they really are phenomenal with that. So one of our participants asked, are there any digital platforms that are people using that are low cost or free? So Miss Judy, I'm assuming, I think QuickBooks has a fee, doesn't it? Or is it a free? You gotta unmute yourself.
You do have to buy the software, yes.
Yeah, pay for the, so there is a cost in it.
Got you. Okay.
It does help. It helps if it's in there right. It really does help at tax time for sure.
Yes, ma'am. But like Ms. Shipman say, I excel. If you are, and you don't have to be technological savvy to use Excel, because it's just filling in.
That's all.
Now, you gotta, like Ms. Shipman said, those formulas, but you could do a Google search on how to do the formulas. You can ask, and those questions are like, what formula do I need to add, or what formula do I need on Excel to subtract? So it's ways of utilizing it to your benefit. But Excel is, of course, most of us have it on our computers. And so that to me, that's the first thing that you possibly can go to without a cost. And I always just share with farmers, when we start growing, though, when we start growing and you're getting larger, and like Ms. Shipman said, you have larger grants or funds coming in from whatever donors or what have you, that's when we definitely have to scale ourselves up as well by soliciting these professionals and or these professional like QuickBooks, those types of things. We can't, most of us don't want to stay small, and we can't stay small. As we start growing, we have to move with it. We can't stay in Excel and you may have $100,000 budget or better. You can't, you really need to get the tools that you need to equate with what's going on. So one, they say, I know 10, TEND as in dog, 10 app is very comprehensive in keeping records, but it's expensive. So that was one of our participants sharing with us. TEND, TEND is an app. And we know it's many, many apps out there. So it's TEND.com. We have many apps out there, and definitely you would have to just kind of scour it and see what is best for you. But I don't want to hold, we have went over 30 minutes. I don't want to hold you any longer. And we definitely, Ms. Shipman, you want to come back on, we would love to have you because we really want more speakers. So any of you on today that would like to join me on a call, please let me know. Let me put my email address in the chat because what I'm doing at this time is kind of smorgasbord. It's always on a Wednesday, 2:00 Central Standard Time, but I either present a particular topic. I have had interviews where I'm interviewing some of our ag specialists and specialists within NCAT around the country. And then like today, I'm either interviewing a farmer. And so we want our professionals on, but we also want to hear from our farmers. And so we have a little bit of everything on our weekly Wednesday workshop, because we want to make sure that we're sharing everything with you from all walks of life and from every paradigm. We don't always want to be on the specialist side, even though NCAT specialists are farmers and stuff. We're very proud to always be able to say that. But still, we want to be able to, for our clientele, to hear from others around the country that are really doing the work. And so we thank you so much today for joining us. Mrs. Shipman, thank you so much.
You're welcome anytime. And you know, there's a lot more we can do. We can also have classes, you know, so
Yes, ma'am.
and they can see what's going on.
Because I would love to do possibly if you and I can record a class on the days or the evening the children are out, because I want to get them in here teaching.
Yes, that would be good.
They teach us. They are some wise young people, and so we definitely want to do that. That could be another segment, and we can record it and play it on a Wednesday for people to hear, because it's some extraordinary young people that are in the agricultural world, but a lot of times they are not known because they're young people. So we want to make sure Miss Judy Ballou, Miss Barbara, that's on right now, she works with young people in the Mississippi Delta.
Right.
So, yes, ma'am. So it's a lot of young people that are doing great things. So anyone that's remaining on the call, again, if you want to join me in a conversation on what you're doing on your farm, or if you're a professional that just want to share with farmers around the country, please reach out to me. My email is in the chat, Felicia B at NCAT.org, because we want to make sure we're sharing all of this talent across the country. So we're going to end right now. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me via email, and definitely I can share. Ms. Shipman, can you share your email address?
Yes, my email address is shipmanba at AOL.com.
Okay, and I'm putting it in the chat right now. So Shipman, B as in boy, A as in apple, at AOL.com.
Yes.
Great. So thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great rest of the evening. And thank you so much, Mrs. Shipman, for being here with us today and leading the charge and working with our youth.
No, you're welcome. And thank you everyone for coming in, listening to me. And I was very happy to share with you.
Yes, ma'am. Everyone, have a great evening.